I have worked the night shift at El Miña General Hospital for nearly 7 years. Nights in a rural hospital are quiet in the strangest way. Too quiet to feel real. You hear the hum of old fluorescent lights, the drip of IVs, the distant rustle of curtains when there's no wind. But after what happened last winter, I've come to fear that silence more than any scream. It began the night our power flickered 3 times, like the building itself took a breath. We were only 3 nurses on duty that night. The generator outside had a low rumble that made my heart beat in rhythm with it. Ward B was my section, 6 beds, most of them empty. Only 2 patients, nothing unusual, until I saw something that shouldn't have been there. By the window, at the far end of the corridor, a woman stood completely still. She wore a black veil that reached her chest, covering her face. At first, I thought she was a visitor who had fallen asleep there, but visiting hours had ended long ago. I called softly, "Excuse me, ma'am?" She didn't move. Her stillness was unnatural, like a shadow that had forgotten it wasn't alive. I stepped closer. The air grew colder, and the smell of disinfectant gave way to something old, dry, like earth from a tomb. When I was close enough to touch her shoulder, the corridor light blinked once, and she was gone. My heart pounded. I told myself it was fatigue, imagination, but when I returned to my desk, the night log book had opened on its own. The page that showed last year's death records stared up at me. January 12th, Amal Yusuf, bed 3, Ward B. The same bed where old Mahmoud lay that night. The next morning, he died. Peacefully, they said, but no one could explain why his oxygen dropped suddenly before dawn. For days, I tried to forget. Death isn't rare here. People come hoping to be saved, but some come only to say goodbye. Still, I couldn't forget her. The way she faced the bed, the way she vanished. 3 nights later, it happened again. This time, the patient was young, a boy of 16 bitten by a snake. He'd been stable all day. But as I changed his IV at midnight, I saw movement at the corner of my eye. The same black veil, the same stillness. She stood beside his bed. I froze, hand trembling around the tube. "Who are you?" I whispered. The boy stirred in his sleep, groaned, then went still again. The heart monitor beeped steadily. I blinked once, and she was gone. The boy died an hour later. Cardiac arrest. When I told the head nurse what I'd seen, she only said, "Layla, you need rest. Night shifts make you imagine things." But it wasn't imagination. Every time I saw her, someone died. I began to dread midnight. The others drank coffee, laughed quietly. I stayed in the ward, pretending to read charts, eyes darting to corners. One evening, as the call to prayer faded, her veil shimmered faintly under the fluorescent light, though she made no shadow. "Why?" I whispered. "Why do you come here?" No answer, only that pressing silence that filled my ears until I heard my own blood. The next morning, I asked the janitor, Hassan, if he'd ever heard of such a thing. His face changed color immediately. "You've seen the Saida of the night beds," he said. I frowned. "What?" He glanced around before whispering, "They say when the hospital was built, the ground wasn't blessed. Beneath Ward B was an old graveyard for those with no families. One woman died in childbirth, no name, no visitors. They buried her in a nurse's sheet. I wanted to laugh, but my throat closed. Every few years, he said, someone claims they see her. Nurses who see her always quit." I went home that morning and sat in my kitchen until sunlight touched the window. I thought of quitting, But the next night, I came back. Maybe out of duty, maybe curiosity. For a week, nothing happened. I began to believe it was exhaustion, nothing more. Then came the night of the storm. Rain in our region is rare, but that night it fell in thick sheets, drumming against the windows. The power flickered. The corridors smelled damp, and every sound seemed louder. Footsteps, whispers, the clang of a tray far away. Ward B was half empty. One patient, an old woman with heart trouble, slept lightly. I stood by her bed adjusting the drip when the window behind her fogged from the inside, from breath. A handprint appeared on the glass, 5 long fingers, too slender, too pale. I turned slowly. She was standing behind me. Her veil fluttered, though there was no breeze. For the first time, I saw something beneath it, a faint outline of a mouth, not smiling, not frowning, just waiting. My knees weakened. I backed away, my hand against the wall. The patient stirred, gasped once, and went silent. The heart monitor let out a single, flat tone. Then, the woman was gone. When the doctor arrived, he said it was her time, but I knew better. That night, after everyone left, I walked back into the ward. The sheets on bed 2 were still warm. I whispered, "If you must take someone, take me instead. Stop haunting them." Nothing answered. Only the sound of rain dripping from the ceiling. But after that, she didn't appear. No deaths for days. I thought maybe she had heard me. Maybe my offer meant something. Then, on the 7th night, I began coughing. My chest burned, fever followed. The doctor said pneumonia. They admitted me to Ward B. I told myself it was coincidence. But as night fell and the lights dimmed, I felt that same cold air, the dry chill that came before her. I tried to sit up, but weakness pulled me down. My breathing rasped, echoing faintly through the ward. Then, I saw her. Not by the door this time, but beside my bed. Her veil hovered inches from my face. Beneath it, I saw her eyes, hollow, yet sad. She reached out a hand, long, pale fingers shimmering in the dim light. I wanted to scream, but no air came. "Why me?" I whispered. Her head tilted slightly, as if listening. Then she spoke for the first time, her voice like dry wind through reeds. "You asked." I don't remember what happened after. They said I was unconscious for 2 days. When I woke, my fever was gone. The doctors called it a miracle, but since then, I see things others don't. In the reflections of IV bags, in the dark corners of the hall. Sometimes I feel someone standing beside me during my rounds. One night, I asked Hassan if anyone had died that week. He said, "No, not a single soul." Maybe she kept her word. Maybe she accepted my offer. But I started to notice something else. When I walked past mirrors or windows, my reflection didn't move exactly with me. A half-second delay, like someone else trying to match my steps. Last month, a new nurse joined, young, cheerful, named Mariam. She took over Ward B while I moved to pediatrics. I thought I was free, but one evening she came running to me, her face pale as paper. "Leila," she whispered, "there's a woman standing by bed 3, dressed in black. I think she's crying." My blood turned to ice. I walked toward B, forcing myself not to tremble. The air was cold, the lights flickered once. The bed she mentioned was empty, except for a folded black veil lying on the sheets. I touched it. It was warm. And in that instant, I understood. She hadn't taken me instead. She had taken me with her. Since that night, patients who see me before dawn say they sometimes glimpse a second nurse reflected in the windows, veiled, silent, standing by the dying. They say she looks just like me. I've stopped trying to sleep on my nights off, because when I close my eyes, I see ward lights blinking. I hear the slow rhythm of heart monitors fading one by one. Sometimes I wake up thinking I'm still at work. Sometimes I wake up standing by my own bed, watching myself breathe. People ask why I still work there. I tell them someone has to stay with the ones who are leaving, someone gentle, someone familiar. Maybe that's what she wanted too. Last week, I passed the morgue corridor and noticed a new brass plate on the wall. Names of the hospital's first nurses from before records were kept. Among them was one name etched faintly, worn by time, Layla Hassan. But I'm Layla Hassan. A chill ran through me as I touched the letters. The metal felt cold, yet alive, pulsing faintly under my fingers. I asked records about it. They said no such name exists in the system. Since then, every time the lights flicker 3 times, I feel her near. Or maybe it's me near her. Sometimes I can't tell whose memories I'm living, the nurse who saw the veiled woman or the veiled woman herself. Maybe there was never more than one of us. Maybe the hospital just changes faces. If you ever find yourself walking the halls of El Minya General after midnight and you see a nurse in white by the window, don't call her name. If she turns to look at you, it means someone in the ward is about to leave. And if she doesn't turn, then she's already looking at you from somewhere else. Some nights, I think I can hear her humming an old lullaby, the kind mothers sing to their newborns, only she never finishes the song. I've begun hearing that melody in my dreams. It follows me into the waking world, echoing faintly between the beeps of the machines. I tell myself it's just in my head, but sometimes the others hum it too, without knowing. The same tune, the same rhythm. I wonder if this hospital is alive, feeding on memory, on fear, on us. We become its heartbeat. I used to pray at dawn before going home. Now I stop at the window of Ward B instead. There in the glass, I see 2 reflections, mine and hers, standing side by side, breathing in time. And when the sun rises, one of us disappears. I'm never sure which.
Now, when the power flickers 3 times, I whisper, "I'm here." Sometimes she answers with silence, sometimes with the sound of my own voice. If you ever wake up here and a nurse leans over you whispering prayers, look carefully at her shadow. If it doesn't move, don't be afraid. It only means the Sayyida is keeping watch. For the dying, for the living, for those trapped between both. For the dying, for the living, for those trapped between both. I've learned something in these endless nights. Not all angels wear white wings. Some wear veils, and some look just like you. Fading hum. Silence.